Hi, Uncle JJ here. I was thinking about in the book of, I believe it's the book of Matthew, and I did look it up, and I think I remember it to be chapter 18, verse 3. Does that sound right? 18 verse. Anyway, so in the book of Matthew, Jesus calls a child to himself. And he says to his disciples, I should preface this, they were arguing who's going to be greatest in the kingdom of heaven. That's what they're arguing. Jesus calls a child to himself. And he said, unless you become as the children, you shall not see the kingdom of heaven. So that's the verse that I was considering. One of the things that's absolutely amazing about listening to the recitation in Arabic, I've been doing it now for well over a year, maybe almost a year and a half every day. And I was doing it today when I thought of this. One of the things that it does or has done for me, it allows me to listen to that inner voice. And I believe we're all born with that inner voice. Have you ever watched a child at play by themselves? A child at play, let's say between 3 years old and maybe 6 or maybe 7, around that age. They're kind of talking to themselves, they're doing things, they're enjoying themselves, but they're in contact with something that they're interacting with as if it's not of themselves, it's something else, it's another person, whether they're making believe with their dolls or whatever. I have a granddaughter, and one of my favorite things is when my daughter sends me video clips observing my granddaughter, candid video clips, not when she's asked to do something, but rather as an observer watching her. And there is something that's just so innocent and pure and real to the way a child acts, or the way a child plays when they're by themselves, the way they entertain themselves. So in the book of Matthew, when Jesus says, unless you become as one of these children, I take that to mean, unless you become as one of these children who is aware of their inner voice and listens to their inner voice and responds to their inner voice. I know all of this may sound whoo or crazy or what have you, but I'm telling you, I listened to the recitation and it prompts me. I still don't understand Arabic, and I probably will go to my deathbed not understanding Arabic. But God willing, I will continue to listening to the recitation in Arabic because of all that it gives me. When I'm listening to it, I'm part of the world. I put my headphones on and I go up to the market and I interact with people. Of course, if I'm in conversation, I take it off or silence the what I'm listening to so as to not be rude. But it allows me to really get in touch with that voice that's inside me. And what has happened over the last year or so is that it has supported me in that following or listening to that inner voice seems more often than not to lead me in the right direction. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's sort of proving itself to me over time that if I listen to it, you know how something will pop into your head and you may say to yourself, well, I'll do that later. I'm busy doing this. when I listen to my inner voice, it breaks that down further. Okay, I could do it later, but what am I doing right now that's so important? Or if I've just thought of this now, why wouldn't I address whatever popped into my head now if I can do that? Why put it off? So it has allowed me to open up, to get in touch with that inner voice that I think we're all born with. I think we're all born with. I can't speak for anybody else. But the way that this has happened in listening to the recitation, it's not like this voice, this inner voice is new. Excuse me. It's like I'm being reintroduced to it. I'm becoming as a child, as Jesus said. And the beautiful thing about it for me is Jesus says quite often, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And since I've been listening to the recitation and listening to that inner voice, I find that to be the case. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. As I'm walking to the market, and even though I'm listening to the recitation, if the starlings have all gathered in a tree, I will focus on that. I will pay attention to that for a moment or two. It's really hard to explain, but it brings me so much joy. Now, I've said in the video, and if you're lucky enough to still have TikTok, I have slews of videos about listening to the recitation and its impact on my life. After it proved itself to me to be from God, because it filled me with peace, I feel safe listening to it. As a result of feeling safe listening to it, it has opened me up to appreciating, in fact, that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is. Despite all of and this world is filled with all negativity and hostility, and it's filled with it. But if you allow yourself that space to appreciate what it is you're experiencing at that moment, it's absolutely beautiful. It is the kingdom of heaven. It is at hand. So I did have to Google which verse that was in Matthew, and I think I remember it correctly. I think it's chapter 18, and it begins with the disciples saying, who's going to be greater in the kingdom of heaven? Because man is always obsessed with that. Children are not obsessed with that. You ever see children when they're still young enough and they come into a group of other children, there may be a little hesitation, but most children are open to the interaction with others. And how beautiful is it if there is a group that's already established, they're playing, they're doing their thing, and a newcomer comes in, and one or two, or maybe the group, all recognizes this person is new, and they welcome them in. The children have the answer. Jesus was telling us to be as one of these children. Then you'll know the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of God. It's much later in the day than I usually do these videos, and I didn't want the day to get away from me without sharing this with you. I completely, wholeheartedly recommend that you listen to the recitation in Arabic. I recommend it. I also recommend that you read your scriptures. And I recommend that you pray. Pray. I did earlier, I got down on my knees and I put my face to the floor. It's a position I came to while following Jesus' teachings all those years. But it just seems like, for me, my head to the floor, it's a position of humility. It's a position that humbles me. And one of the great things about believing in God, people ask quite often, well, why should you believe in God? If everyone believes in God, it helps humanity to learn humility. Helps humanity to learn humility. Being humble before God will bless you, will give you great benefits. I hope you're well. Treat each other with respect. Peace.